The most mentally and physically demanding challenge of the season awaits the best in the world.
What is up, motorcycle nerds? This is another episode of Florida Moto Talk. Trying to get a preview video out for you guys before the Circuit of the Americas MotoGP race coming up. So we're going to be talking about, a lot of MotoGP news this week. We got Quartararo getting paid. Obviously COTA, rumors around Joe Roberts. Not Joe Giannato, but Joe Roberts. Just a whole lot to talk about there. Of course, we're going to throw you guys some bike deals that we found over the last week or so as well. And but before we get to that, John finally got all his parts back, got the bike put back together, and was out at the track on Saturday. How'd that go?
Man, it was a good day, really good day. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get everything on the bike because, like we saw in the previous video, I pretty much just did a complete overhaul on it, had the suspension ripped off. The bike was pretty much gutted. New chain, sprockets, full exhaust put on there, Brembo Master, all the fluids. It was a lot of work, but we got it done. And I was nervous about my own work. I've done all sorts of, modifications in the past, but this one I was nervous, man. It's the first one that I've built myself that I'm actually racing on. So the test and tune yesterday, everything went good. No major hiccups or anything. The bike felt great. It was screaming. They got me on sound. First time that's ever happened too. I got the full Hindle pipe on there. The header's all the way back, and it's the big can, and man, that thing sounds so sweet. I put together a quick edit from yesterday too. I'll probably be releasing that probably just shortly before we release this video, if anybody wants to go check that out too. But yeah, they popped me for sound, so I had to get the chicken wire and safety wire, all that in my pipe too. But it was a sweet day. The weather, couldn't ask for better weather. And me and my buddy that went with me, Mike, he's also in the edit too. But we thought that it was going to be packed out, especially with AMA about to do their round at Road Atlanta, the first round of the season. We thought it'd be packed, pro teams and everything. But man, there was probably maybe like 15, 20 trailers there. And the weather was, it was pretty much like a private track day. I haven't seen it that empty in a very long time. And it was just, it was great. And then which they've never done before, it's never happened to me, but they closed early too, which I didn't know about. Yeah. I found out like halfway through the day, they were like, we're going to be closing a little bit early. And I was like, it's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Go home a little bit earlier. But there were some people who were pretty upset about that, as you can imagine. There was one group in particular that, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but they were from somewhere up north, and they said they'd driven, 12 hours to get down to Jennings. So they were pretty up in arms about the shortened day. But, I got home, I got out there, did what I needed to do, got home early. So it wasn't too big of a deal for me. But yeah, if I had driven 12 hours to be out there, I'd probably be fuming too.
Yeah. Did they run two groups, or was it still three groups?
Yeah, they just did a novice group. They did two. They did novice, and then they put intermediate and expert together, which, some people were not happy about that too. But like I said, I really don't mind either. I run in the expert group, but I don't mind running with the intermediates because I have a lot of buddies that are in intermediate, so I can get out there with them and we can kind of hang out, and it's a lot of fun. I'm not out there trying to burn down laps or anything. I was trying to fill the bike out. So it was a good day. Me and my buddy Mike that I just mentioned, he rides a Yamaha MT10, and I got a couple laps chasing him around. That's also in the edit that I'm about to drop here on our page too here pretty soon. But definitely go check it out because his Yamaha was ripping.
Yeah, at this point, I think I've done more days with intermediate and expert combined than I have just intermediate. So I seem to, every time I go, the weather's garbage at least one day, and it scares people away. Like every time I go, the Sunday is a blowout. So then the Saturday and the Monday are quiet because people were hiding from the weather. So I don't know. I keep ending up in intermediate expert combined days. So they do that. They do close early because they figure everyone got their riding time. So, um, to them, to us, it's out there having fun. To them, it's just their damn job. They're like, screw it. You guys still got the same amount of riding home time. We want to go home. So, um, the one day I was there, they did 10 to 3,
Yeah, that's what they
and then
did
that was it.
yesterday. Yeah, 10-3, and
Yeah. No, but that was open track. There was like 8 people. So that was a little different to still running 2 groups. But I mean, that day, I think I did the math, looked at the aim, and then there was one section I didn't run it. I think I did like 80 laps that day. I'd go out for like 30, 35 minutes, come in for 20, go back out for 30, 35. I was just shredding out there. So
goodness, yeah. I mean, it's seat time, man. I mean, I'll take it.
yeah,
That's plenty for
yeah.
me. Absolutely.
So I'm glad everything worked out with building it all. I'm kind of looking at the same thing before my next track day is I got to rebuild my exhaust. I got rear sets. I'm going to switch to GP shift. I got new like racier chain adjusters because the OEM ones on my bike are absolute hot garbage. So I got a bunch of and the track day organization I'm riding with requires safety wire. So I got to safety wire some stuff too, which I've never done before. So it's I kind of feel the same way. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do that I've never done before, and it's one thing when you do one thing at a time. It feels totally different when you've done like 4 different things and then you're going out there. So I'm glad it all went well, no mechanical failures, and you only got the one meatball.
Yeah, one meatball. Are you doing the Ducati day? Is that the day where they're, or is that a different
No, it's
org that's doing that?
precision track days.
Precision. Okay. Yeah, that's the new org. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're in intermediate, they run 2 intermediate groups, like slower and then the faster.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an intermediate, you need to have anything like oil related safety wired. And then if you're expert, which they require an expert race license for, or to bump you up after they've seen your ride, then I think you need full race safety wiring to be in their A group.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
um, so yeah, I've got all the bits I need. I just drilled a hole through the oil filler cap. I did buy a drain bolt with pre-drilled holes, and then I got a clamp and I drilled that at work for the oil filter. But it's I still got to execute it all and pass tech and stuff, which I've never done anything with tech before. I've just done track days. You just show up, and unless it's visibly
Mm-hmm.
leaking or smoking, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. I mean, well, luckily the safety wire is easy. A lot of people kind of get turned off by it, but now that I've safety wired my bike, I will probably never ever ride a bike that's not safety wired, man. I mean, but it's super easy. Just
Yeah.
get you a good pair of pliers. Don't cheap out on the safety wire pliers. That's my only bit of advice. Just spend a little bit extra cash and get a good set of pliers.
Yeah, I've done. I safety wired down my GoPro mounts, and I've got the Harbor Freight one, and it's tricky.
Yeah, I've got the same one, and I can't tell you how many times I've cursed with that thing. Still haven't bought a new one yet.
Oh, so you're not even following your own advice.
No, it's
That
new
tracks.
advice. This is new advice for me. I mean,
New
that was
advice.
my
Okay.
first. Yeah, that was my first set too. But next time,
Yeah.
man, you better believe
Yeah.
I'm showing up with like an $80 pair of wire plans. I'm telling you, it's such a pain. But yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. Tools make a big difference. But
absolutely.
so I suppose it's time to move on to MotoGP. I don't even know, where do you want to start with all this?
Man, we got to follow the money first, of course, man. Got to follow that paper trail. Let's talk about our boy Fabio, man, getting paid for the next 2 years. Just absolutely insane, man.
Yamaha they don't want to turn into. They saw what happened to Honda when Honda was starting to struggle, and then they lost their star for basically 2 years, and how the bike suddenly became like unrideable. Yamaha, I think, is scared to death of that happening to them, and they're at least trying to keep someone solid who knows the bike and knows what it was and what it can be to try to help them keep developing that thing. But I mean, they're almost in Honda territory right now.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, for Fabio, I mean, bravo, man. Like I said, it was came down to a decision for him. It's like, you want to be a developer and you want to build this bike and stick with this team, or you want to do what Marquez did and forget about the money and get on a better bike. And he went with the cash. Right? Fabio
Yeah.
went with the cash. So, I mean, he's got to put in the work now for sure. Like you said, they're not down in Honda territory yet, but I mean, they're trending that way. Um, a lot of people were expecting Alex Rins to step up again this weekend, but no, man. I don't. I mean, I personally don't have any faith in that happening. Um, I don't really see Fabio doing a whole lot this weekend, but for him to stick with Yamaha, I mean, hopefully, well, I would hope that they have something in the works,
Yeah.
for him to
Yeah.
make
I
that
mean,
big of a commitment, because that's a huge commitment at this point.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's huge money in this industry. And like you say, right now, they're not getting the results right now. But clearly, if they're willing to pay Fabio, I mean, they're basically admitting it's not his fault, it's the bike. So I think their big fear is if they don't keep him, they just slip further and further. And then it really eventually then no longer becomes economically viable to continue the program. And no one wants to see them do what Suzuki did. So I hope this works out for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to make it work. I mean, you see, Ducati, KTM, they have like a pipeline. They have no shortage of riders. They will probably never have a shortage of riders for the foreseeable future. I mean, they're already got their eyes on Moto 2 guy. They just signed a Moto 2 guy. But you don't see that happening with Yamaha at all. Like, who do they have in a pipeline? Who's eyeing the M1 saying like, this is where I want to go? Absolutely nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they lose Fabio, and Fabio is not too I mean, we'll just crap on him a little bit, but he's not like Mir, right? I mean, Fabio's got one title, Mir's got one title, but they're completely different. I would say that Fabio's still light years better than Mir.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they could go on a whole different topic talking about Mir, but one-time champ to one-time champ. Fabio's light years ahead of him. Fabio is the type of person that when he got that championship, he fought for it every single race. He fought for it, and
Mhm.
when he lost, he fought for it. And I mean, I still feel
Yeah.
like it could have went either way when he lost that second to Pecco, but Fabio, even though he hadn't had the results, I mean, just watching his rise from the I'm blanking out on the name of the team, from the Petronas Yamaha up to factory
Mhm.
Yamaha. I mean, it was meteoric, right? And he comes from Moto 2. Nobody really expected anything from him. Everybody was talking crap, saying, "Man, he don't deserve that seat."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he just showed up
And
and
he was
just
taking
proved
it to
everybody wrong.
Marquez.
Yeah, I mean, he just showed up, and you could see when he was doing. I mean, he would show you, like little hints here and there, and it all just clicked when he got on the factory bike. But he's got the skills. He's definitely got the skills. So if he's struggling, I'm definitely gonna put more of that on the bike. Maybe, you know, 60-40, right?
Yeah.
60
Yeah.
bike, maybe like 40 Fabio, maybe give or take a little bit more. But I think on, like, especially if he had got on the Ducati or the KTM or even the Aprilia, like they were saying, I think he'd be right back up there at the front.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do when you're losing 10 Ks down every straight at every track on every lap. Like, and then you know, his strength and even the bike strength is the corner speed. But if you're riding someone's ass with the corner speed, then you're overheating the front tire, and you got to back off to cool the tire. And then when you're losing that speed and you lose that draft, well, then you're stuck. You're not going to be able to close back in to have another attack when your tire's cooled off. So he can't qualify because the bike's got no speed. He has to draft to stick with people in the race to try to maintain speed, but then he overheats the tire and he can't use the corner speed. So it's like the weaknesses of the bike are directly counter attacking the strengths of the bike, and it just leaves the poor guy. I mean, he was pretty vocal about it last year. He's just very, very, very frustrated.
Yeah.
But and he's toned that down. I don't watch a lot of the interviews and stuff, but Simon Crafar has said a couple times how his tone has changed this year, and there hasn't been the complaining about the bike. But maybe he knew this payday was coming, and part of the payday is to be a little bit nicer.
Yeah, and then that's what I was saying on the Facebook page. You know, I mean, it was just such a shock to me that he stuck with Yamaha. I mean, I didn't see that coming, because he
No.
had been, like you said, the body language and all the interviews that I've seen, and the way he talks about the bike. He's like, the bike, the bike, the bike. We need this, we need that, we need the more top end, like you're talking about. And he just wasn't getting anything. I mean, all signs pointed to him walking out the door. Like everything pointed
Yeah.
to that. And now we're seeing, I guess maybe that was part of his strategy, right? That was probably part of the strategy to freaking negotiate this crazy freaking salary, man, 12 million. And I mean, he's getting paid more than Pecco and Jorge Martin now. How's
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah.
But it's just time. I mean, I'm sure when Pecco's up, when his contract's up, I mean, shoot, they're gonna give him whatever he wants.
I
They're
mean,
probably gonna give him double
Pecco
that.
just re-signed. Pecco just re-signed, though,
Yeah.
like right before the start of the season. So I don't know if that 6 mil is his current one or what his new contract is going to be. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, he's already on the hook, so I don't know if there may be some renegotiation happening now or something, but it's yeah, I mean, realistically, a contract like this completely changes the landscape financially of MotoGP. I I could be wrong, but I feel like I heard the most Mark was ever paid was 9.
Yeah.
So that's a guy who was winning championship after championship after championship consecutively. And now a guy who won one championship 2 years ago is getting paid more than he ever got, than Marquez ever got, as far as I know. Now that's direct salary, that's not sponsorships and all that stuff. You know, Marquez was raking in the sponsorship money. But I don't know, it really changes the landscape, I think.
Yeah, it shows you how, things kind of work, and the factories are listening when the riders are talking. I mean, it's a clever game that they're playing, but man, it's that's just crazy to me. And even with the Yamaha too, because I don't think we're going to see any major changes. But like I said, with him resigning, I would hope that it's not all about the money. Hopefully, they said, "Hey, man, we have this coming." Because the problems that you were saying the Yamaha is having, I mean, I don't see that changing, especially with the aero that we have and all the aero problems that we're seeing now too. Like I said, the Yamaha has the corner speed, but the tires are getting hot, and then with the aero with the bikes in front, we hear them talking about the dirty air now, right? Where
Yeah.
you can't even properly draft because you're getting dirty air. The bike's not running right, tires are overheating. It's a clever thing, and I wonder if that was even like the intent of the arrow, and is that like really why they're wanting to get away from it now? You think they designed the arrow to have those negative effects on the rider that's behind them?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look at those.
It wouldn't surprise me either.
Look at those KTM scaffolds right now. I mean, uh, on the back of the bike, is that really providing any downforce or anything, or is that just creating turbulence? I mean, they've got half of a high rise on the back of those things now, so
Yeah, it's
it's
incredible.
it's hard to say. I do have to think that Yamaha thinks they have something big coming development wise, because you don't pay someone that much money to stick around if you don't think you're going to be able to give them something to win on.
Yeah.
So I feel like they have to have some confidence that beyond just developing the bike, there's something coming. Probably not this year, but something that's going to get him back on the top step of the podium.
Yeah. Let's hope it's a V4. I mean, I doubt that too, but man, I've been wrong before, but let's hope it's a V4. That'd be sweet.
Yeah. But you did touch on it. We're coming up to COTA, and Alex Rins is very successful at the Circuit of the Americas, but I don't think he can do much
No,
much
me
this
neither.
year on the Yamaha. Now we said that about the Honda too, and he went ahead and won it last year, but the Honda at least had the straight line speed, and as we know, COTA's got that long back straight. Whereas the Yamaha, he's not going to have that this year. So we'll see. He's a specialist there, but I don't know if it's in the cards for the Yamaha guys this year. And last year, Quartararo got a podium, but so many people fell off last year that it's hard to say how much that had to do with him and the Yamaha versus just surviving the race, basically.
Yeah, and that's the thing with COTA. It's always great racing there, but at the end of the race, when the riders are taking off their helmets and everything, I mean, they all look frustrated after racing COTA, and it's because man, that track is brutal. It's just a brutal track, and usually the guy that wins it is not the person with the best setup, but it's the rider that wants it the best, or that wants it the hardest, and they don't let the track intimidate them, and they could just get out there and send it. And that's why, in my opinion, why Mark Marquez is so successful around there. Very technical track, very long track. And he's the type of person that, I mean, he's going to push it out. He's just going to push it and try to get to the finish line. And most of the riders, it seems like they're just going, and watch out for it this weekend too. But it seems like most of the riders at COTA are just kind of going through the motions, just they're like, man, let's just let's get out here and let's get this over with so we can get back over to Europe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, last year in the main race, uh, Martin crashed and took out Alex Marquez. Uh, Aleix Espargaro crashed, Miller crashed, Binder crashed, Pecco crashed. I'm sure there were a couple others in there too. And I think at that point in the season, there were a few riders out for injury. I don't think Bastianini was there. Paul Espargaro wasn't there. He was on the gas bike at the time. So they already had a small grid. Then like almost half the riders crashed out. I mean, it's COTA. If you finish the race, you got a decent shot at getting some points.
Yeah, and the F1 cars run there too. So they were giving complaints last time out about how the track was all tore up and there was like chunks of, pavement missing. And they were saying it was pretty unsafe, especially coming down that back straight uh, where they're topping out the bikes. And, they're saying they're hitting, divots and all sorts of bumps
Yeah,
and stuff. Man, that's great. Can you imagine hitting like a bump, 220 miles per hour? No, man, or a
yeah.
dip in the track. But so, they had to deal with that. But looking at the results from last year, as we know, Pecco was on pole, and then you had Alex Rins right behind him, and then Luca right behind him. And Alex
We
Marquez
know
was up there too,
Marini's we know Marini's not going to
struggling.
be there this year.
He's struggle busting. And then going into the sprint, you had Pecco won the sprint with Alex Rins behind him, and then Jorge Martin was up there in third, which was to be expected. Pecco was looking pretty good all weekend too, up until that main race. Sure, you remember how
Yeah.
that went down?
Yeah, I mean, in the lead with Rins was pressuring him, but he had room. It's not like he was riding on him. And I don't know. I think that's when Pecco was talking about the bike is so stable that he couldn't feel when things were starting to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just stable, 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 gone. Um, which they obviously figured out a little bit better later in the year, because I think last year he'd crashed in Argentina as well 2 weeks before COTA. So that was that beginning part of the year where Pecco was really struggling with the bike. And I mean, 2 crashes in 2 weekends. By the end of the season, that sounded like something like that would be impossible. But at the beginning of the year with the struggles, it definitely happened. I don't see that happening this year, though. He seems a lot happier with the state of the bike at the beginning of the year this year.
Yeah, I expect a lot from him coming into this one, especially after his last race. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So he's going to be back for blood. I see Jorge Martin going real good around here too. I mean, he looks like he's dialed in this year, but I mean, with him, the only thing he's missing is that consistency, and it looks like he's getting that dialed in this year. So if he can
yeah.
stay on it, it's going to be another close race. But yeah, I definitely expect him and Pecco to be there. Who else do you think is going to be up there?
I mean, Bastianini, he's on the factory
Yeah.
bike. He's healthy. He won it in 22 on the Grassini Ducati, ahead of Rins. Uh, I mean, I, I don't think we can count Bastianini out this year.
No, he's always been fast. He just had a little bit of bad luck with the injuries and everything, but he's always been there. He definitely earned that spot that he has, despite what people are saying. Some people say, "Well, Jorge Martin should have got in this and that," but he beat Jorge Martin straight up for that spot. I would have picked Bastianini myself to put him on that
Yeah,
bike a couple seasons ago. Um, I mean, he was just dialed in, and he would get those sensational wins, and you don't even need to really be consistent to get that factory spot. If you have people looking at you, you get a couple big battles, a couple big wins, and they see that you have the ability to get out there and win, and they'll give you a shot. And both of them did that, but Bastianini did it better.
yeah, better and sooner in the year
Yeah.
too. So
So.
yeah, it's amazing how quick people forget, and it's like all of a sudden because Bastianini missed like half of last year with injury,
Mhm.
so he wasn't really in the results, and then he never got to learn the bike. So then even when he was racing, he was at a major disadvantage. Um, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, he never should have been there in the first place. And it's like, no, if you actually
Mhm.
go back and look at 2022,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
that dude
he
was a
earned it.
savage. He was a savage in 22, so he
Yeah, he
definitely earned
earned it.
that ride.
100% he earned it. And I mean, he's been quick. He's just now getting his feet under him. I mean, you got to really, I mean, this is really going to be his first season, really showing us what he can do. And when he came into the team, I don't know how people forget this stuff so easily, but there was a whole stint going on because Ducati was trying to figure out how he was going to fit into the team because you got your A rider and your B rider, right? But they were like, "What is the dynamic going to be?" Because Bastianini is not going to give Pecco anything, man. He's going to come at him
No,
harder than Jorge Martin did. you know, they don't. I mean, they
he's
don't
the
care that they're
beast.
teammates. Yeah, he don't care. So there was a lot of talk about what's the dynamic going to be between them, and is it going to mess things up? But we haven't really seen that battle yet, but it's coming. And yeah, I'm excited to see him. And looking at the results from the race last year too, I mean, just going down the list, we got Alex Rins won it on the Honda. I don't think he's going to be relevant. Luca Marini second place on the VR 46 Ducati. I don't think he's going to be relevant either.
Not this year.
Fabio was in third on the M1, the Yamaha. I don't think he's going to be relevant either. I think he'll get a top 10. And then you got Maverick, which is might be one to keep an eye out on. He was in fourth on the Aprilia, same bike, same team. With Miguel Oliveira behind him, I don't think he's going to be relevant either, but Maverick's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on too.
I mean, Vinales, though, it depends on which version of Vinales decides to show up that weekend.
That's the worst thing.
I mean, he's captain inconsistency.
That's the worst thing with him. And it was so crazy when how things kind of went down with him. I mean, kind of going off topic a little bit, sorry. But it was so crazy how, things went down with him and Yamaha after, he tried to explode the motor and everything. And he was out of a ride. Aprilia reached out to Joe Roberts to offer him the factory seat, and he didn't want to take it. He didn't want to move up for Moto 2. So he told him no. And then, lo and behold, like right after that, Maverick Vinales has the whole falling out with the factory Yamaha team.
Gets himself fired.
Dude, what? Yeah, he gets himself fired. Like Aprilia is probably dude, they're like, man, what are we going to do, man? Like they were looking at Joe Robertson. I mean, at the time, I mean, not to talk bad about Joe or anything. I mean, he's one of my favorite dudes to watch for sure. But there's like so many other people to look at,
Yeah.
But they were giving him the spot. So that's about like the level, of rider they were at to fill that seat that quick. And then this thing goes down with Maverick last second. And then they give him the offer and he takes it. And I think it was on the MotoGP. I think it was on one of the documentaries where they followed the Aprilia team. I'll see if I can find it again, but they followed the Aprilia team for like the welcome party where Maverick like came to meet the team and everything, like way before the season started. And they're talking, they're like, man, they're like, we got to do this and we got to do that. And they're trying to like boost everybody up. They're like, we want to make him feel welcome and we want him to be happy. They're like, man, we got to keep this guy because we're like, this right here was like a 1 in a million type of thing that we just got this caliber of rider. And they bring him into the team and the rest was history. But yeah, I just thought it was funny, like how if that was like the absolute best case scenario for Aprilia to get him and just the way everything worked out, it was crazy. But like you said, with Maverick, I mean, he's not going to be inconsistent. We don't know why, or he's not going to be consistent. That's like the thorn in his heel. But man, if he can change that, then he'll be the Sunday guy. And I'm sure that because Aprilia was looking at Fabio too. They made him the offer actually, and I can only assume that Maverick would be staying and Aleix would be the one that would be leaving. So it was potentially going to be Fabio and Maverick on that team. I don't see them getting rid of Maverick before Aleix, especially with how old he's getting, but who knows?
But Aleix is the captain.
Their guy.
I mean,
he's their guy, but
he built that bike. It's hard to judge. I don't know. I feel like if it was me as team principal, I'd actually be getting rid of Maverick first.
Or not get rid of him, but maybe he would.
Well,
he would be bowing out
with the Quartararo.
Yeah, I think it would be more on Aleix, like wanting to leave, instead of them. I mean, don't mean to say they would kick him out, but I mean, I would think that he would be making the decision to bow out, and that would make room for Quartararo.
Yeah. Well, and then we haven't even talked about the elephant in the room with COTA. Marquez is now back on a competitive bike. I mean,
you're right. We didn't talk about that because we don't want to tell everybody what we're doing with our fantasy teams. Let's keep that. Man, you're just gonna go tell the world like the biggest tip, man, coming into this one. Yeah, Marquez is flying. He's that dangerous Marquez that we talked about like many episodes ago when we were trying to talk about what Marquez we would get on the new bike, and we called it. I tell you, we're gonna get the older and more mature Marquez, right?
Yeah,
and he has arrived. We have this. We got old man. We're in like. For those that watch like Marvel and everything, like we get like the old man Logan with the X-Men, right? We got old man Marquez now, man. We got old man Marquez, dude. It's dangerous.
What him and Pecco were doing in Portimao, I have no idea.
Fighting.
That was so clearly going to end in tears. Neither one of them. Pecco had to know Mark was going to be there because it's Mark. Of course, Mark wasn't going to leave room. Um, but I guess that's that savage mentality for both of them. But I don't know. That wasn't old Marquez. That was young, fiery Marquez at Portimao there.
Yeah, I mean, he got the pass done, and it wasn't. I mean, it was a close pass, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't overly aggressive. It wasn't. I mean, people are going to say it was, but it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't dangerous. I mean, we all saw it. He
No,
got the
no.
pass done. Yeah, it
The
was a good
pass was
pass.
fine.
Yeah,
The swing back, knowing Pecco was going to be cutting back underneath. I mean, they both knew where the other person was going to be. I think they were both just hoping the other one would back out, and
yeah,
neither of them were willing to do that.
yeah. That's the difference. I mean, we watch it from the outside, but these guys, I mean, they've been riding motorcycles their entire lives, and like you said, they both knew that the other was going to be there. It just came down to who's got the bigger balls, and that does happen. It happens on the track. I remember specifically, I think it was 2 seasons ago now, where like in World Superbike, not to get too off topic again, but real quick, where Scott Redding was battling with Top Rack. I think it was at Catalunya, maybe, and after he like they both were on the podium. Top Rack won. I think Redding was second, and then they were talking to Redding. And on one of the last couple corners, Top Rack just ran up behind him, and Redding kind of moved out of the way and let Top Rack through. And then the post race, I mean, Redding said straight up, he's like, Top Rack, he's like, you hear him behind you. He's riding like a freaking maniac, and he's not. There was like, he's not gonna stop. He was like, if I didn't get out of the way, he was gonna freaking. He more or less said like, if I didn't move, he was gonna freaking kill both of us, right?
Yeah,
And I mean, that's just a part of racing. I mean, Top Rack had already won that race because he was clearly already inside of Redding's head, right? I mean, Redding was literally
yeah,
thinking, I got to
yeah,
move or he's going to run me over. I mean, that's what it is, man. I mean, that's exactly how it is out there on the racetrack. And this, you see that same mentality with both of these guys. I mean, they're both said, I'm going to take this spot and you're going to move. And if you don't, then we get what we got. And they both
yeah,
go. And they
yeah.
both
We're
go
gonna
down.
collide and 50-50 see who stays on the bike, and neither of them did.
Yeah, because they're too good for the. I mean, with the mind games aren't going to work on these guys, man. They're too good to be affected by any of that. I mean, they get on the track, they just pull their freaking balls out.
Yeah, but like, it's really selfish of Pecco to not think about my fantasy team. So that's all I gotta say is
Yes,
he really needs to take pause and think about that in a race, what he's doing to the people.
Pecco. Yeah, you got to think about that if you're watching, man. We got things on the line here. We're fighting for bragging rights. We got to get these points, man, because I definitely dropped about 3 spots
Yeah.
in the fantasy league. At least about 3 spots. I haven't looked, man. I've been scared to look, but
I think you're fourth right
yeah.
now.
But yeah, I mean, with the fantasy, my money's definitely on him going into COTA, man. Him, Pecco, and Mark, I think, are going to be up there, and then you can't count out Jorge Martin. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think Mark's going to get it done for number 1, 2, Pecco, 3, Jorge Martin for the main race.
Man, I've got no idea. I think Pecco. Shoot. You may be right with the 3 guys, but I think it'll be Pecco, Martin, Marquez.
Nice,
I
nice.
Martin's had bad luck at COTA. Maybe not bad luck. He's just so aggressive right out the gate and keeps having issues. But I think if he finally gets it right, I think he'll be a handful out there. But Pecco looked so good last year until he had that cock up But yeah, we'll see. Like you say, it's always there's always good racing. So I'm just looking forward to it. 3 weeks felt like a really long time after that long winter break and everything. So I'm just ready for some racing.
I know, man. We missed a round. We should have had a race in there. I mean, whatever. But yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to watch it. I will be there.
Well, the damn Argentinians had to go elect a libertarian anarchist or whatever the heck he is and screw everything up for everyone. Speaking of being selfish, come on, guys. We wanted racing.
We wanted good racing too, man. That's such a great freaking track.
What a
Oh,
drag, man.
whatever. Well, I guess you want to hop into these bike deals real quick?
Yeah, let's run
Good
these. I think I
segue
went
over.
first last time, so it's on you this time.
Yeah, I'll go first. This one's a little bit different. Let me get my screen share up. Hang on. Give me 1 sec. Let me close some screens. But yeah, this one is completely different. I have not done one of these before.
Mine, I mean, you already know what mine is. Mine's going to blow some minds. No one could possibly guess what mine is.
Oh, man. All right. Let me make sure I did this right. I got too many screens open. So screen share. And let's get this deal up. Let's get somebody on a new bike. And for this one, make sure I pull up my deal and not yours. All right. You got me? You got me. I can see it now. I can see it. So going with something a little bit different this go around. And what we have here is the 2010 KTM 530 EXC. And I went with this bike because, first of all, it's KTM. It's orange and black, Florida Moto Talk colors. But this bike, yeah, it's a good, I want to say dual purpose, but it's really like a tri-purpose. Is that one that we can use? Tri-purpose? Trifecta bike? I don't know. With this bike, I mean, you can do whatever you want, just like all other deals I bring up. But if you want to go put this thing on the dirt, you can go do it. It has the nice knobby tires. It's pretty much a dirt bike with a fat motor, single cylinder, 4-stroke, real nice plush off-road suspension. But you also get, with a larger displacement motor, you can put this thing on the road too. So if you want to go and hit some sandy trails, do some off-roading, you can go do that. It's got the skid plates. It's got the hand guards on here. Full acro pipe too. And if you want to, go rip single track, you go do it. And then if you want to pull off the trail and, go beat around town, you can go do it. If you want to go and, just commute with this thing, go Sunday ride with it, you can do it. And it's really cool to have a bike that can do that. I've only ever owned like sport bikes or dirt bikes. These like dual sport bikes are definitely on my wish list, but having both worlds just seems great. I mean, you get a dirt bike that's street legal with the headlights, with the tail lights. Get this thing registered and go rip. You can, I mean, how cool is it to hop on a dirt bike in your garage, go ride, to the trails, and go ride trails all day, and then ride the thing back to the house.
Yeah.
Sweet. But this one is a little bit little old now. I mean, this is the 2010 model. But with these, I mean, the KTMs are so ahead of their time. I mean, they don't really go too obsolete like that. KTM just makes crazy machines. And with these, a lot of people will take them too. And like this one has the knobby tires on it, but you can, a lot of people will get a second set of wheels and put some bigger brakes on it and put the street tires on it, and then this thing would really, really ride. A lot more power than a 125, a lot more power than a 250. I mean, it's just gonna rip. I don't know that I would personally put it on the highway. I mean, I'm sure you could probably get away with putting this thing on the highway for short amounts of times, maybe, but I'd just keep this thing off road. I'd keep it in town for short commuting and and it would do it. It'd do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one here, it's up in Marietta, Georgia. It's been on here for 3 weeks, and they're asking $4,900 for it. When these things first came out, I mean, the MSRP was $9,500, so pretty good. I mean, obviously a lot of depreciation on the thing for sure, but just to show you, the caliber of bike you'd be getting in 2010. But with this one, 49's not bad, but I definitely talked the guy down for sure. 4K, if you can get this guy to get down to 4K, you have a certified ripper.
Yeah.
Dirt, street, you like doing wheelies, that's your thing. It'll do it all. It'll do it all, and probably put a really big smile on your face doing it, and sound pretty good doing it. But for anybody that's looking, same thing. We'll put the link in the description. I mean, this thing's all tricked out. It's got the radiator guards on it.
I've still never ridden a dirt bike.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know. I don't have anyone around here with a dirt bike.
What are you waiting for? So much fun. I have a really good video of me crashing my old CRF 250. I might release that one day. Maybe.
Sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. It was a long day. Very long day. I crashed that thing like 10 miles down a trail. I looped it on a log. Buddy got it all on video. Then had to get up and ride it back. And I had to go to work that day too. That afternoon I had to go work. Night shift.
Nice.
Pain. But yeah, solid deal. We will link that below. But 4K 4,500 for a KTM that's super clean, already modded. I mean, you don't have to do anything to it. Just hop on this thing and go ride it in whatever environment you like. Really solid option. And a lot cheaper than the newer KTMs as well. But that's what I got. You ready to hop over to yours?
Yeah. Mine's gonna be pretty shocking.
All right.
Short and sweet.
I can guess. Let me share another screen. Give me 1 sec to pull you up. And we will get you in here. And your deal, it looks like, is this one.
And this is not what I'm looking at tomorrow. But some of you may recognize that this looks relatively similar to something I already have. That thing back there, that way. So yeah, this popped up a couple weeks ago now. A 749S, which is what I have, but already converted over to track. So we've talked about this before. Doing the conversion to a track bike yourself is expensive. There's a lot of stuff that needs to go into it, and it is pretty much always better to buy it pre-tracked and let someone else put all the expensive parts that depreciate on the bike for you. But this wasn't available when I did it. So if you remember my how much does it cost video, I think mine on track was like without gear or like the trailer or anything, I think it was like $11,000 all said. So now I did put a slipper clutch on it, which I don't think this one has, and some other bits and bobs. But what this one has that I don't is it's got the Olin steering damper. I still have the OEM one on mine. He's also got the Olin's rear shock on this one, which I do not have. So that's the rear shock that came on the 749R, which was the very fancy model. So he says Termi exhaust dyno tuned. I mean, the Termi came factory, so I don't know why it would have needed dyno tuning unless it was for specific fuel or something. But he says suspension service, shark skins bodywork. It's higher quality bodywork than what mine has. Brembo RCS master cylinders. And then it also comes with spares that he says he's got a set of wheels and a 999 engine, which from what I understand is a pretty easy swap if you do decide to do that. So it says $6,000 reduced to 55. I happen to know because I saw this as soon as it came up and started talking to the guy, that it was initially listed for 5. Then he got on the forums and some of the guys told him, no, you should post it for 6. So then he switched it to 6 and he's already reduced to 55. So I mean, with this thing, if he posted it for 5, that means he'd be happy walking away with 5. I wouldn't be. I'd be offering less than 5 to start. Now that's just because I saw that the initial ad he put up. So he then took that one down and started over again. But I already know he'd be happy with 5 because that's where he started. It was only someone else told him he should ask more. But I mean, I've been riding one of these on the track now. I still haven't had time to adjust the suspension. I think I'm close to getting the front end dialed in, but I know the back end is still way too stiff, and this thing is still just so much fun to ride on the track. I mean, it's an absolute delight to ride with that twin power band. The extra CCs over like an SV or whatever, the 4-valve motor, that 110 or so horsepower is just this real sweet spot. The R6s and stuff, when they get high in the RPMs, they start to walk me a little bit. But as far as the corner power, I'm making much more power mid corner because I'm not revving the absolute tits out of it to be in the power band. So I know how sweet these bikes are to ride. I can say for 5,500 or $5,000, it would be difficult to have more fun than you're going to have on this. I don't know if there's really any classes you can race these in right now. I see people actually detuning them down to like 700 cc's to fit into different classes. So I don't know if there's anything good to race this in, but for a track bike to just enjoy, I mean, these things are sweet. He's also got the iconic parts chain adjusters that I'm going to be putting on mine that I actually ordered after talking to him, because as soon as I saw those, I was like, what the hell are those and where did you get them? So I mean, it looks like a pretty dialed in bike. He does not list the mileage, but he told me it's like 16,500 miles. I think mine is almost 15,000 now. I've put on 3,000 since I bought it. So they're getting up there in miles, but this would be a 2003 or a 2004. Oh, he does have 2004 on there, but I can tell by the swing arm. But it's just a fun, already done and ready to go for you track bike for, I'd say, $5,000 on the high end if he's already reducing the price from the 6. So I know I blew some minds recommending this, but you gotta go out of your comfort zone every now and again and try something new and look outside the red box.
Outside. Man, is that what you're advocating now, to look outside the red box?
Probably not. No.
I'd be so curious. I mean, yeah, that bike's sweet, and it'd be really cool if we could do a video like comparing this to like the older generation Ducatis with the new generation Ducatis. Like compare this to a V2, like get some kind of back-to-back, riders test on it. Just to see, just to see how far that the bikes have come, and even just to see if there's like a similar DNA that's between them, right? Because I think that's what the biggest thing is with the Ducatis, right? Is that uniqueness, like that heritage, like that style that they all, like that same like personality and heart that they all have. So it'd be cool to see, ride those back to back, and just to see if it's still there from, through 20 years, just to basically time travel, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, last time I was at the track, I was pitted next to a guy with an 848, which is the generation in between this and the current V2. And he kept looking at mine, and I was waiting for him to ask if we could switch one session. Then my header exploded, and no one was riding my bike at that point. But yeah, it's basically, you know, like the 748 was before this, and it made like 90 horsepower. Then this came out, and it's like 110 horsepower, but basically the same motor. Then the 848 came out, basically the same motor, just now a little bit bigger and 130-ish horsepower. And now you've got the 959. I mean, they just keep growing, and but I think a lot of that DNA is still there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If anybody's listening that has a V2, hey, go ahead and reach out to us. Maybe let me ride it. Let me ride it. We'll definitely bring you on for an episode too, because I want to hear all about these V2s. Because man, they're like that V2 is like one of the most like beautiful machines I've ever seen, especially in action. You know. But yeah, if anybody's got one of those, hey, let us know, man. We'll bring you on for an episode because I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, they're cool bikes.
Sweet, man. Cool. Well, I think that's about all we got, man. Hopefully somebody can check these deals out and get on a new bike. As always, if you're watching, let us know in the comments who had the best deal. I think that would be in the eye of the beholder on this one, though. Two completely different bikes.
Yeah.
Completely different deals.
Depends on what you want to do with it, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, drop the links in the comments if anybody's looking at these.
And then I guess by the time this comes out, because I'm probably not going to get it uploaded tonight, but I will tomorrow morning, we will know whether or not I've bought another bike.
This mystery bike. At least tell me what color is it? Got to give us some kind of clue so Andy can figure it out for us.
What color do you think it is?
Well, obviously red.
Well, there you go.
It's probably the easiest question I've ever been asked. What color do I think Tristan's bike will be? So it's a red bike? Or you're not coming off of that?
Well, I'm potentially looking at two different bikes tomorrow, but the first one and the one I'm more interested in is red.
Okay. Are they the same make?
No.
So two different
But
makes. One's red.
Same country of origin.
Oh,
And that's where I'll leave you.
Probably Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got to be. Andy, you listening? We need your help.
Actually, well,
You'll figure it out.
It's
definitely a Japanese bike.
Yeah, I mean, Andy probably knows a little something about the first one I'm looking at.
Huh? Are they completely different bikes? Like completely different as far as
kinda. In some ways, yes. In other ways, no.
Interesting. Same purpose though, or different purposes? I mean,
no, different purposes.
Different purposes. Interesting. Same country of origin. With different makes. Okay.
You should know by about 10:30 in the morning.
Interesting. And not a dirt bike.
Nope. Still haven't ridden one. I'm not ready. Definitely not ready to buy one yet.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be a Jap bike for sure. Italian. I mean, got the ducks. Wait, I'm tripping. Aprilia's Italian, right? What was I thinking? Yeah, I was thinking KTM for some reason. They're Austrian?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, you looking at an Aprilia? Okay.
Could be.
Okay.
Who knows?
So it could be Ducati, Aprilia. Could be Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda.
Who knows?
Not KTM. What else is out there? Royal Enfield.
That's basically India at this point. BMW, Triumph,
Beamer. Yep. Beamer, German. Triumph is British.
English. Yeah.
English, yeah. All
Yeah.
right. I guess we'll see.
Uh,
Definitely a drop by though, I'm thinking.
I mean, could be Harley and Indian. You don't know.
True. Sweet.
Sent you that
Well,
picture of that sweet Harley trike earlier. You didn't even respond to that. Totally ignored that.
it wasn't red.
It could be the second bike. Who
It
knows?
wasn't red, man. I don't.
No, I'll put you out of your misery tomorrow.
All right, we're
But
gonna get Andy on it.
this is already too much teasing because it may not happen. They could both be garbage. They could make weird noises or who knows. So
Sweet.
I gotta go see. But I got some running around to do early in the morning, and then we'll go from there. But I'll probably do. I might keep it quiet and then just do a little video to announce it. But I'll text you a picture as soon as it happens, if it happens. I'll put you
Sweet.
out of your misery.
And video reveal. I like it. Let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
get it done.
yeah.
Sweet.
So I'll be radio silent on the pictures, except for you, sweetheart. I'll let you know right away.
That's what I'm talking about. Need to know, man. We need to know. See what we're doing next. See what we're getting into. Sweet. Well, cool, man. Yeah, as usual, deals are gonna be in the comments, and I guess we'll see everybody in the next one.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later.